After testing 3 MacBooks and 5 MacBook Pros with the new butterfly mechanism keys, using a couple of them full time for months at a time, I finally experienced
not
it.
Spotlight, emoji picker.
Dust-maggedon, the end of type. But let's back up. When Apple first introduced the new 12-inch MacBook, it felt like the Terminator, a machine clearly from the future, but stripped down naked just to get here, and that included the new keyboard.
And it's not just any keyboard, it is an all-new keyboard. As you move to a thinner design, it took an entirely new kind of invention to make it a beautiful keyboard. This butterfly mechanism is built of a single assembly, and it's supported by a stainless steel dome switch. And that all adds up to a key that is much more precise and accurate. In fact, it's 4 times more stable than that scissor mechanism, yet is 40% thinner, allowing us to make a thinner keyboard. And we also made the keycap larger, making it even easier to strike and get a beautiful typing experience.
I loved the increased surface area and the greater stability. Others hated the loudness and the lack of travel, but it was largely given a pass because, just like the original MacBook Air before it, you don't just pay for ultra portability in cash, you pay for it in compromise. Then came the new MacBook Pro.
The keyboard is all new as well. It uses the butterfly switch mechanism that we pioneered in our 12-inch MacBook, but now we've applied it to a professional notebook. And in this case, there's a new switch mechanism, a second-generation butterfly. It's more responsive and gives an even greater sense of keyboard travel as you press on it.
I still loved it. Others still hated it, and for the same reason. But on a computer that was supposed to prioritize power over portability, those who were willing to accept the compromise on the MacBook just weren't willing to do the same on the MacBook Pro. The new MacBook Pro was hugely successful anyway, whether you attribute that to pent-up demand from a larger than usual refresh cycle, or Apple making deliberate efforts to appeal to the more mainstream and modern prosumer markets and less to the traditional Pro. The MacBook Pro sold despite what some considered to be major drawbacks, perhaps even because of them. Then the failure rates began getting attention. The new MacBook keyboard is ruining my life. Casey Johnson wrote that for the outline. It's so bad. Casey wasn't the first to bring up the issue, but she galvanized attention to it. More reports came in, and the anger at the keyboard itself was amplified by the anger over the failures. Apple's reaction was predictable, but not particularly effective. The company posted a tech support article that enumerated and illustrated the steps it recommended for cleaning dust from the keyboard. Hold your MacBook at a 75-degree angle so it's not quite vertical. Use compressed air to spray the keyboard or just the affected keys in a left-to-right motion. Rotate your Mac notebook to its right side and spray the keyboard again from left to right. Repeat the action, this time with your Mac notebook rotated on its left side. If that doesn't work, you're left with contacting AppleCare or taking your MacBook into an Apple store for repair. And because it's more efficient for them at scale to replace those larger elements than repair smaller, more intricate ones on site, the entire top case ends up being swapped. It's covered under AppleCare and the extended warranty, and in some regions by more encompassing consumer protection laws, but for anyone completely out of warranty, that ends up being expensive. Casey followed up her original article with another one, recommending people not buy the new MacBook Pro, not even on sale, and she embedded reactions from mega popular YouTubers like Casey Neistat and regular readers who were also experiencing the problem. It certainly wasn't happening to everybody, but it was happening, and people were being vocal about it. Jason Snell at 6 Colors. I know that we Apple watchers sit around wondering if Apple released new laptops with new keyboards that don't have these issues, but Apple's relative silence on this issue for existing customers is deafening. If these problems are remotely as common as they seem to be, this is an altogether defective product that should be recalled. John Gruber for Daring Fireball. This keyboard has been one of the biggest design screw-ups in Apple history. Everyone who buys a MacBook depends upon the keyboard, and this keyboard is undependable. What we had were anecdotes though, not data. Neil Seibart of Above Avalon looked to the financial disclosures. For what it's worth, Apple reports cost of warranty claims and accruals for future claims. Nothing too out of the ordinary with those line items. Probably enough sales volume with MacBook Pro for any widespread problem to be noticeable in the 2 line items. Mike Worthley of Apple Insider collected service data for the first year of release of the 2014, 2015, and 2016 MacBook Pros, with an additional slightly shorter data set for the 2017 model year, given that it hadn't been available on the market for a year yet. The numbers showed that overall repair incidents at that the outlet surveys were down in 2016 and 2017, but the number of keyboard repairs were up in 2016 and likely back down again in 2017. In other words, the new MacBook Pro was much more reliable than the old one in every way except for the keyboard. But it looked like what, if any, changes Apple made in 2017 were making the keyboard at least as reliable as it had been before. As someone who had to have the E key replaced on a 2014 MacBook Pro, which I think was like $400 but covered by AppleCare at the time, that's not a total comfort. But it's also not a total disaster. But that may change. Apple is acutely aware of how much attention the keyboard issue is getting, and either growing numbers or growing negative sentiment could push the company to do more sooner. That's the power of social networks and online petitions, and it's also the power of easy-to-use professional website services like Wix.com. If you want attention on the internet, whether it's for your business or your issue, Wix gives you all the tools you need to get it up, to get it online, to get it stable, to get it secure, and to make it beautiful, compelling, and unique. But don't just take my word for it. Because Wix is sponsoring the show, go to wix.com/go/vector and see for yourself. I think you're gonna love it. So now that I've experienced key death on the new MacBook Pro myself, has my opinion changed? Not really. I continue to believe the real issue is the keyboard itself. I love it, but many people don't, and when you have a single vendor product as important to customers as the MacBook Pro, you simply can't have anything about it be so divisive. Just like Apple moved from scissor to butterfly mechanisms to second generation butterfly mechanisms, I think they're going to have to move to something else, maybe to the same implementation used in the iMac keyboard, which seems like a happy medium. As for my keyboard, so I followed Apple's directions, I did some improv on my own, and now it works again-ish if I hit it sharply from just the right angle. So I guess my next step is the Genius Bar. So that's what I think anyway. I'd love to hear what you think. Is this something that Apple has to handle now? Or is this just the tech echo chamber who've latched onto this issue and is now more sensitive than they were to previous keyboard issues? Or is it both? Is it something that is just so toxic, that's getting so much attention, that is so negative, that Apple has to handle it regardless of what the numbers are? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Meanwhile, hit like, please hit subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.
To make it thinner and more precise, we created a sturdy, single assembly butterfly mechanism. Combined with a new stainless steel dome switch, this reinforces the keyboard's balance and stability.